All right, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. This episode I'm really excited about, just like the others, but this one in particular is about the arts and how the arts can help our kids both in the schools and the community. And I have three special guests for you today, so hang in there. And so our first guest, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to have you introduce yourself, to the audience.
Yeah.
Just tell them your name and your role and what you do, and then we'll kind of go from there.
That sounds great. I am Mary McNamara Bernstein, and I am the Executive Director of the Rockford Area Arts Council.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And again, thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to get you on this podcast for probably a couple years now,
Yeah.
maybe just a little bit longer than that. And the reason being is I see for myself in my role, how important the arts is, to our kids and just driving around, whether it's driving around Rockford or I'm from Milwaukee originally and just seeing artwork on walls or, on park benches and things of that nature. So I wanted to get you on, specifically to talk about the things that you do, for our Rockford community. And then two, how can we bring some of that to McChesney Loves Park? So there you go.
I love that. Okay. A little twofold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. The arts just enrich everything, your life experience. And we know that, from what you're pulling out of your closet in the morning to the playlist you put on in your car to where you want to travel and what you want to see. It typically has museums or performances or concerts or something that you want to go to. It kind of our life enrichment,
Absolutely.
our life joys come from arts and culture. And certainly, when our families, especially this time of year, you're starting to get together with your traditions. And those are a lot of times, you have cultural pieces in those too. And so arts and culture are just intersected all the time.
Okay.
So I love to speak to that. I do want to speak especially today because you're going to be speaking to two wonderful art instructors, I hear.
Awesome. Yes.
And, the impact... People used to say we really need data about the arts to demonstrate their impact because, how are we supposed to do that? It's so intangible.
Right.
And those involved in the arts know it's not intangible. You gain confidence, you gain, a comfort level when you're speaking to people, a presence. You can gain skill sets that are applicable in so many other areas. But lots of ways that are abstract and concrete ways, things that you're gaining. But it is hard because when you're applying for funding or you're going to, a city council meeting or Winnebago County Council meeting where you want funding and you're saying we impact the community. We're an economic force. We're a workforce. We impact healthcare, education, you name it.
Absolutely.
You need data.
Yeah.
They won't give you money without data. So it's been really great because the last 10 years or so, they've been able to gather data from local arts agencies like the Arts Council.
Okay.
And then we ask our partner agencies. So our job is we are a 4-county service area, but primarily Winnebago and Boone County. And we're like the umbrella organization for arts and culture. So we try to serve the Art Museum, the Symphony, the Dance Company, the Music Academy, the Wind Ensemble, Artist Ensemble Theater, West Side Showroom. We are sort of the place they can go to for employment opportunities, funding opportunities, maybe advocating for them at the state level. Okay. So we're like that parent organization.
This is a big umbrella.
It is. It's a big umbrella. Yeah. It's a big umbrella. And then we have like an ant organization at the Illinois Arts Council, and that's at the state level. And then the kind of grandma organization is the National Endowment for the Arts, and that's at the federal level. And then each one of those has an advocacy branch because as a state or federal agency, you can't advocate for yourself. You have to have somebody else do it. So it's like there are a lot of jobs involved with arts and culture.
I'm learning a lot more than I thought. This is awesome.
So good. So the youth and arts piece that has been so exciting that we've seen is like something nearly a 6% decrease in juvenile crime with communities that have a healthy arts and culture sector. So kids where they have opportunities regularly, consistent opportunities to engage in arts and culture. So that could be, it could be painting, how we think of art, painting, visual arts, but it could be theater tech. It could be, joining the band or a drum corps, right? It doesn't have to be, picking up a paintbrush. So that's a great statistic to have. Then you look at kids who are involved in the arts from a young age are 5 times more likely to graduate high school.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Big deal
That's
for you
awesome.
guys.
Yeah.
2 times more likely to go to college.
Okay.
Huge. Or secondary education. And 78% more likely to vote.
Okay.
So in my mind,
Right.
that's enormous.
Yeah.
That means that's a kid who's interested, who's curious, who is thinking about not just themselves but the world around them, right? That is what art does to me. It kind of puts you in the space of the world, not as an individual but part of something else. And I think that sort of collective identity is so important, especially right now.
Absolutely.
Where everybody's kind of out for themselves.
Yeah.
It's arts teach you totally different things.
Yeah.
So.
And you're taking me down, and thank you for all of that, because
Yeah.
now you're educating me as well, because how I think of art, and I never even thought about obviously the music and how all that plays in, but I think of like my favorite Kobe Bryant poster or
Yes.
something like that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But how you just described the benefits of arts for our kids, and even last night at our board meeting we kind of talked a little bit about like chronic absenteeism, right? And how
Huge
that's
problem.
affecting not only our community but nationwide. And things that you've said is engaging our kids and getting them to want to come to school, right? And
Yes.
be involved, and then ultimately graduating and being a part of our community. So just fantastic.
Yeah.
And so one of the questions then follow up to that is, how can leaders, when you talk about fundraising and money and things like that, help, obviously our council and what you do?
Yeah, so we just finished something called the Rockford Region Cultural Plan.
Okay.
And it's sort of a mouthful. But what it did was it developed a strategic plan. So, if you have a business or a school, you have a strategic plan for the year. What do we want to do? We want to decrease absenteeism. We want to increase opportunities in sports, or whatever your objectives are.
Right.
We want to do that same thing with arts and culture. So we have a plan, and we know how we could help get that involvement of college communities to Rockford, because Rockford, we call Rockford the city center or the urban hub.
Okay.
And you kind of need one of those when you have a district like ours, because that's where like 60 out of the 85 organizations for arts and culture are in Winnebago County. So there's a reason why we kind of focus our attention here. And so if what you can do, and what the cultural plan is there for, is to help you embed arts and culture in your strategic plan.
Okay.
So if that's where you could have artists come in and speak to starting a business, a creative business. You could have graphic designers come in and speak to, maybe a class about sports, just speaking to sports and how important those are to some kids. I'm a huge sports fan, and I'm an athlete still.
Okay.
Played 3 sports in high school, but
See,
also
I did not know that about you.
Telling you what. But they're a priority of mine.
Okay.
But I love the way that those interplay with the arts.
Absolutely.
They're absolutely almost like science and art. Art bridges all of those subjects in such an effective way. So, we would love to kind of come in here and talk to you about those ways in which we think we can integrate and intersect education with the arts.
Well, it's good. I have 2 art teachers that are
I'm
coming
telling
after you.
they're going to say yes.
So that's
How do we
cool.
do that? But every subject has room to embed art in it. And it could be, like you're saying, it could be music, it could be theater, it could be, if you think about the most formative form of art in my mind is live performance.
Okay. Yes.
When you're a kid, isn't that what you remember when you think of something that really impacted you? It's live performance. And I'm a visual artist, but there's nothing like it. When you see people on stage and you hear it and you see the lights go down, there's something completely changes in you forever. And I think, getting kids involved in that way, having those tangible pieces available to them to experience something. So they're not just watching it, they're having an experience. It will change them. Yeah. And it will kind of open their minds to those other ways.
Absolutely.
They'll tell you what to do in terms of how to integrate arts into your curriculum.
Well, you're personally helping me even understand my daughter even more, my 11-year-old, because she loves basketball. Yeah. She loves dance, and she was in the Nutcracker last year.
Oh,
and for me as a parent, I'm like, okay, at some point you got to give up something, because it's like just too much. And
Come on, Dr. Yarbrough.
But what it's sounding like is it's all connected. Like, because she would never
her
get tired.
Her brain is firing like this.
Like she's always going and keeping up with her schoolwork and everything. And I'm like, how is she doing this? And as a parent, I'm like, well, maybe, someone's going to give,
feeds her.
right? But
Right.
no. So yeah, thank you for that. So,
Yeah, my pleasure.
if Liliana, I'll show you this later. You
Exactly.
keep doing
Just
it.
keep adding more to your list.
Keep adding more to
Liliana.
the list. As long as I got my wife, she's helping
She'll
me.
help.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so she's
she'll
good.
help.
So, but thank you for all of that.
Yeah.
And so here's a couple of fun questions,
Yeah.
for people to get to know you a little
Okay.
bit. So you mentioned, sports, right? And I did
Love.
not know that. So favorite sport?
I think I'd say tennis. I still
Okay.
play tennis
Really?
a few times a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started back maybe 10 years ago after kids.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'm a very competitive person.
Okay.
So that is my favorite.
All right.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
Serena.
I can tell. I can tell you.
Serena's my person.
Oh yeah, she's the GOAT. So
She is the GOAT.
I
She is the
will
GOAT.
say that.
Yeah.
And so then too, your favorite person, even though you don't work in the district, right? You
Yeah.
kind of know Harlem a little bit. I saw Dr.
Little
Boyce
bit.
come in and say hi to you.
Mhm.
So you're on the spot now. Who's your favorite person in the district?
Well, you're going to be happy. It's you.
Yes.
I don't know too many people in the district, but we've gotten to know each other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We sit next to each other at the YMCA board meetings. And anybody who's on a board like that, contributing in that way, I already know something about them. I already know where their heart is, where their values align. And I love that board. I don't know how you feel about it,
I
but
do as well. Yeah.
it keeps me grounded. It
Right.
keeps me looking at the future,
Yeah.
But yeah, you, Dr.
Absolutely.
Yarbrough.
And I appreciate you saying that. And two,
bet.
real quick with the Y board for me, because when I first became superintendent, what I didn't know is that there's a lot of demand on time.
Yeah.
For
I
someone in this particular role. And so I had I was on the Boys and Girl Scout board, still am on that board, the
Yeah.
Discovery Center board.
And once people find out you're a decent board
then
member,
it was just
Yeah.
kept coming.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, and I've always told Brent this as well, the Y is a board that once I'm done with other boars, I will just stay with the Y. And that's
I feel that way too.
So,
It's a life thing.
so yeah, it is. So thank you for saying that. Last question, because I was kind of thinking about this as you were talking. With all the projects that obviously you've been a part of and are on the horizon, what is one? Let's just start with what's your favorite project you've been a part of, from start to finish, when you think of things that you've done and brought to Rockford.
Honestly, I think it's this cultural plan.
Okay.
It was a 2-year process. We met with all sorts of groups in Rockford. So we met with kind of the race and ethnic groups from the Latino community, the Black community, the
Okay.
Asian and Indian community, LGBTQ community, seniors, young professionals, a lot of intersection there of people,
Awesome.
faith
Yeah.
communities. That was just the best. I felt like this is my job. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I get to ask them questions. I get to ask them about what's important to them. And, kind of circling back to the beginning of our conversation, it's culture. It's their
Absolutely.
family. It's their
Yeah.
traditions. So that was my favorite project. And it's online, the cultural
Okay.
plan. And the 10 priorities came up from the community. So we didn't really write it. We just sort of distilled that information, and the stuff that sat at the top, we knew that those were the 10 priorities of the region, not Rockford, city of Rockford, but the region. So I encourage you and to share with the kids that plan, because they'll see themselves in it, I think.
That's awesome.
And that was fun. It was long. I had to get a contract, big contract with a consultant, which I had never done. So I got to do some things professionally that were really they felt like big risks, but they were also huge rewards. So,
and that's part of it, right? Seeing yourself.
Yeah.
and things that is going on in our world, right?
Yes.
And especially in our community too. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
To end it with you, something that you're looking forward to, for this year.
Yeah.
What-
So we have the Rockford Area Arts Awards in March, and every year, and it's sort of like the Oscars for arts and culture.
Mm-hmm.
And every year we get nominees, and you think, well, I didn't hear about that.
Right.
I never saw that show.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I? What the heck? How did I miss that?
Right.
It's such a special thing to attend,
Mm-hmm.
first of all. So I encourage everybody to attend it. But it just says so much about where we live, that there's such richness, and there's so many dedicated creatives that it's just impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So it really kind of carries me all year, because
Okay.
I see what's going on in our community. I'm so proud, and it's inspirational. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's the big one.
Well, thank you. And just full disclosure, because I usually let this just, develop
Yeah.
with the conversations that we have, and I really don't prep. But I actually watched that last year. You know, I
Nice, a little
was
video?
looking at. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Little sizzle reel?
Yeah, just got to get some, in there to kind of figure out
Get a feel.
what that was, and it's outstanding. And I saw how their words went and things like that, and it seemed like it was very well attended. So hopefully my invite will be in the mail.
Your invite is in the mail.
All right. Well, thank you for being on.
Thank you so much.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So for part 2 of our Arts in the Community edition to the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you being on. I have absolutely heard nothing but good things about you. I was in the beginning of the school year, I was assigned to help out at Maple, for bus duties, things like that. So for people that don't know, individuals at the district office, we kind of get assigned to school, and that's our school to help out with. And so being at Maple was great for those first couple of weeks. But all while I'm there, people are telling me about you and how awesome you are and a welcome addition to Maple. And so I'm thinking, like, once I figured out we wanted to do an episode like this, I'm like, I got to get her on. So I'm so happy that you said yes. And so for people that don't know you, can you just tell them your name, what schools are you at, and then we go from there.
Okay. My name is Ariana Cook. I am currently at Maple and Parker Center.
Okay. Shout out to both those schools.
I have been in multiple buildings throughout my years in Harlem District. So probably about half
you should
of
not
all
have
of
told
them.
me that, because now.
Yes.
Okay.
We get around.
Okay, so, and I'm sorry for jumping in there like that, because you just got me excited of now, like, a question to ask you, since you said you've been at multiple buildings and not just one or two, because I got stuck like that with a question too. But anyway, so thank you for that. And so when you think of the arts, right, and you think of things that you do in the classroom with your kids and the importance of that, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes, I'm music, so therefore, everything I do is music related. But one of the things that I hear every year, never fails, well, why do we have to do this, Mrs. Cook? Why do I have to sing? Why do I have to learn about music? And it is a great opportunity to kind of explain what music in itself, as well as the other arts, do for our brains and how it connects with our language. And there's that idea that music is the universal language. It does not matter where you come from. And we have such a diverse community, especially in Parker Center, where we have all our littles coming in from all over the district. Like, you have so many different countries represented, so many different languages represented, and quite a number of students, even with our special ed program, who don't have that language and communication. And music is that great key that just kind of opens it all up.
Absolutely.
So with what I'm able to do in the classroom, and I'm sorry if I get a little emotional.
No, you're good. You're good. This is
important and passionate.
Yes.
Is to see how kids, especially our younger ones, they hear something they might have heard before, they recognize, their face lights up. When they get to have an instrument in their hand, maybe it's for the first time, that they get to put mallets on a xylophone, or play the boomwhackers, or play a ukulele, or even something like a hand drum, and their face just lights up. Playing a song and realizing, oh, wait a minute, I sound good. And even when we're in that part where it's like, all right, let's just count the beats, count the rhythms. And they're like, wait, this isn't math class. But I'm like, it is connected. We connect through music. We don't have to have the same language. We don't have to have any words. And we can have that bonding connection. And it connects to our history. It connects to our reading. It connects to our math and all sorts of different subjects. And even today we were talking about sound, and I'm like, sound waves, and we're going into science, and I'm like, it just encompasses everything.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, and obviously your passion for it, never apologize for that. It is awesome. I was watching a TikTok video, and yes, I watch TikTok videos. I know sometimes people are like, whoa, TikTok videos. But, just like with anything, there could be some good with it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I saw someone, they had posted a kid with autism, mm-hmm. and he was just reacting to a song, right? Mm-hmm. And it just was beautiful, you know, to me. And that hit my heart, very deeply, when I see stuff like that. And then too, when I think of music, I grew up, I graduated from high school in 93, right? Mm-hmm. And so I grew up through the 80s and 90s and the music, scene. And I remember on the radio turning it on, and it didn't matter the station, all the genres was played on that station. Yeah. I could listen to Michael Jackson, I could listen to Phil Collins, and no matter where I went, I could relate to someone through music, right? And so my freshman year of college, and don't hate me for this, but my freshman year of college, or judge me for this, my freshman year of college, I loved Color Me Bad. And I don't know if you know that group, but I loved Color Me Bad. And I'm thinking everyone loved Color Me Bad. And I get into the dorm and I play Color Me Bad, and they start talking, my roommates start talking about me, and I threw it out the window, my tape. And I'm like, I wish I didn't do that. Yeah. But anyway, you just took me back a little bit with the music and how it can connect. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was just a traumatizing moment. But I still love Color Me Bad. But anyway, so thinking about your kids, right? And the buildings that you're in. Because again, like I said, everyone just loves what you're doing and how you're connecting with kids. What is the favorite thing for you that comes to mind of either a project that you've done this year or even that you got coming up?
Oh my. Well, right now I have with Mayville students, we have a concert coming up.
Okay.
And actually that just reminds me of something even better. Every year with Parker Center, we do a fine arts night.
Okay.
Or we did. Now we're so big, we have to split it up. Mm-hmm. It's where me and the art teacher would get together. We would create this event this evening. She would have these huge 3-dimensional art pieces there. Right. I would have the concert on, teach kindergartners how to sing and do full 5-piece concert.
That's a skill, by the way.
It takes a lot of patience. So we're going to start working on this. Our performances in May, we start in January, sorry. So we're going to be working on it, but we always come up with this theme. And we have focused on different environments. We've done Candyland. Last year was the farm. And we've got these huge set pieces. And these kids are singing and playing, songs about the farm, Old MacDonald, even just the simple ones. But this year we're doing space. So I know Miss Davis is the art teacher there. Yeah, we're talking, let's do an entire solar system hanging from the ceiling. And, bring some of those pieces over to... we'll be doing it at the middle school stage gym and on their stage this year. So let's have some of those pieces brought over for the performance and the concert. So we always plan and collaborate together and create this event that's very memorable for the kids. Mm-hmm. And I had first graders going, I remember when we did it last year, and I remember this. And I'll have kids come up to me, a few years later that as they get older, I remember doing the fine arts, the performance, and the concert. And I think Mary mentioned it too, that they remember performances. They remember being on stage. Right. And that's kind of our big thing. Every year we have concerts at all grade levels, all buildings offer it. My favorite ones are with the younger ones, just because we kind of go all out. Right. And I am looking forward to the whole space theme. It's all right,
it sounds interesting.
Songs can I come up with that has to do with space?
Right. And, I think some of last year's props ended up in the boardroom. Yes, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, I'm we've had African safaris, and that was during our COVID, so we got shut down before that one finished. But I'm I believe there's still a draft floating around this district somewhere.
Okay, gotcha. So obviously, or my hope is that we have individuals that watch this podcast, right? And most of the kids, if not all of the kids, I would imagine will go home and tell their parents of how excited they are to work with you and all those things. And so for those individuals who really don't know you, give us one fun fact about you that no one would know unless you told us.
I feel everybody knows everything. I don't know.
That's good. Let's see. How about this? Favorite artist?
Oh, good Lord. See, that's even worse. Because now I'm in my K-pop phase.
Okay.
Or my eras. Because,
Right.
again, I'm also Swiftie, but now
That's
I have...
okay. That's okay. You just when you said that, and I didn't mean to cut you off what you're thinking. When you said that, so and help me with this because my daughter again, it's all about my 11-year-old right now. My two older kids, they've graduated from college. They're doing adulting. They really don't need me, right? So it's all about her, right? And so my oldest daughter loved Taylor Swift, but the old Taylor Swift music. My youngest daughter only knows Taylor Swift for the new stuff, Taylor Swift. Which one is your favorite?
I would have to say the, now I can't think of it. It was kind of like the in-between 1989 album. Okay. And then the one after, what is it? Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
That one. I do like some of the stuff since then.
Okay. So I'll play that for my daughter then, my 11-year-old, and get her to kind of bridge the gap a little bit.
Right now it's like, I have discovered Stray Kids, which is a K-pop, and I never thought I'd sit down and just sit and listen to Korean. Yeah. But I'm like, now I'm fascinated with Korea and all the Korean, and just what those artists go through just to make it.
Absolutely.
So it's it's interesting. It's like nothing we have here in America. So I'm like, that's my new obsession right now.
Right. No, absolutely. And I know recently, unfortunately, Liam Payne, passed away from One Direction. And I did not know, because that took me to going back and listening to One Direction again. I didn't know how much I loved One Direction. I forgot. I really forgot. And it's unfortunate it took, him passing away for me to go back and look at that. But I was like, man, that music, I really liked it. It was part of me just getting older a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of go through our eras, our phases. And I will always enjoy listening to Taylor Swift. I will always enjoy listening to my boy bands back when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
The Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. But I'm like, there's always new ones coming along too that are really great.
New Kids on the Block. That's I have the vinyl record. New Kids on the Block.
I saw them in concert. It was awesome.
So was it the one in Milwaukee?
No, the one in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay, because I went to see them, and they were in concert in Milwaukee. And it was Salt and Pepper. It was
mixtape tour.
Debbie, the mixtape tour.
I saw that one.
Debbie Gibson. Yep. Because that was I love Debbie Gibson.
Show.
So I have a Debbie Gibson lunchbox, by the way. But anyway, that's getting off subject here. All right. So if you could tell anyone who wants to pursue whether it's a career in music or being an art teacher, what advice would you give them?
If you're wanting to be in music, just find ways to get involved, whether that's and even being a teacher, just start singing. Okay. Pick up an instrument, try and learn to play a new instrument, or especially now with technology, start looking at some of the different programs available for composing or writing. I mean, there's so many great things available, even just online, that aren't real expensive, but that can get you just being creative and listen to everything, listen to every style, every genre, just, keep feeding yourself all the great music that is out there. And then just,
No, that's awesome. Cause I'll tell you, my nephew now, he's a freshman in college, and I used to visit him, years ago. I would go to his house, and he's dabbling in music and just wanting to be a DJ, right? And when they're young, you're like, okay, maybe this just be in passing or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he started booking events and actually started to be a DJ. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's great. So I thank you for that. And so now, last two questions, a little fun here. Okay. First one, because you said it and you mentioned it, and now you got me thinking, your favorite school to work at. I'm sorry.
I don't want to offend anybody, but I think Parker Center. Okay. Just being with all
it's the littles.
The littles, but I am the first music teacher they get.
Yeah, I see that.
My fingers are in, and I get to start molding and shaping how they see music from here on out.
I get that.
So I'm it's a lot of work.
Parker Center. Yep, I get that.
It's a great. building great place.
And then this one's coming. Who's your favorite person in the district?
Does it have to be just one?
Yeah, let's see where you go with it.
I have to go with my entire department.
Huh?
The music department, and I
Okay.
can't just pick one because we are very supportive of each other.
Okay.
Our head, Betsy Maceman, is always there with materials and stuff. She's like, I have this idea. I did this. I made this for us.
Right.
I'm like, my shirt is made fire.
Gotcha.
So Amy Nelson, head of the fine arts department,
Okay.
they're just great people
Yeah.
to work with. And even though we're at different buildings, it doesn't feel like it. If I need something, if I am looking for a piece of music or a song, or I need extra instruments, they're always right there. Our entire department's right there to share.
Awesome.
So I've never felt more supportive
Mm-hmm.
than with this group of
That is awesome.
music teachers and stuff. And even up in the middle school and high school, I'm like, I need risers. They've got them.
Well,
and they're so willing and helpful.
I can say that probably was a really good answer because they're gonna love it. So, but again, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me. It was an
I
honor.
appreciate you accepting the invitation, and I look forward to continuing to hear good things about you as
Thank you.
the year goes on.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Continuing with our arts and education addition to the podcast. Thank you for being on, today with
Absolutely.
us. Really excited to hear how your vision for the arts and how it is in the high school in our
Yeah.
district, and obviously you've been a vital part of our district for a very long time, and so very anxious to hear that. And so, starting out, for those that don't know you,
Yeah.
can you tell the audience your name and then your role here?
Absolutely. I am Allison Turner, formerly Allison Augustin, which doesn't really matter, but I spent so much of my career as Miss A
Yeah.
that it will always hold a special place for
Mhm.
me. So I am an art teacher here at the high school. I've been here for 27 years.
Okay, all right. So, wow, lots of history there.
Yeah.
And I knew you as Miss A when I
Exactly,
first
right?
met you. But I gotta say, just shout out to Mr. Turner. That Turner has a nice ring. So I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
I
just
agree.
gonna just
It
gonna
was
say
not
that.
a bad change for sure.
So, okay, so now let's get to your questions. Now, some of them are going to be a little deep, but then
Okay.
we're going to have a little bit of fun. Is that okay?
That sounds good.
All right. So when you think of, not just your career, not just your time, in Harlem, being an art teacher, but at the high school currently, what is like the most important piece you think as far as making sure that kids get connected and be a part of the arts? And why is that important?
Well, I mean, I think it's important for all the reasons that Mary brought up, and I also think that it's important for kids to just know that they have the opportunity. I
Yeah.
really think that's a big part of it, is selling it that you have this great opportunity in front of you, right? Our school does a great job with offering a wide variety in the arts, whether it's, visual arts, performing arts, music. So I think that moving forward, it's just keeping that going, keeping that momentum going, and making sure that kids, again, just realize that they have some opportunities to just not only learn some cool things, but kind of just make them better people in general.
Okay.
I think the arts do that. So
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And so with that being said, so this is going to make you think a little bit, right? And it could be when you started, it could be in the middle,
Right.
it could be now. When you say that about kids and the impact that you've had on kids throughout the years, who stands out to you as far as being in your class and maybe taking them from barely being able to draw to this big piece? Like, what comes to mind?
do I have to name names?
You don't have to
please?
name names. No.
Okay.
No.
I don't know. There have been so many. I have formed so many rewarding, just genuinely wonderful relationships with students. I can't,
Yeah,
that's truly
absolutely.
why we love
Absolutely.
doing what we do.
Yeah.
We all know it's about art, but it's really more about the relationships with the kids. And so I would just say generically, what my favorite has been is it's nice to get kids in, I've got seniors where
Okay.
they took their first art class as a senior, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're killing me.
Mhm.
They're so fabulous. And it's like, you should have started this when you were a
Right,
freshman.
right.
But it's really it is those kids that I've known since they were freshmen, and they kind of stay the course and they take enough classes that you really get to know them and you get to see how much they've grown, not only as an artist, but as a person,
That's awesome.
That's the best.
Yeah. So staying there, and I'm glad you said that. So when you get a senior who you have that moment where you like, man, you should have been doing this, whenever, freshman year or what have you. What seems to be the reasons why it took them so long to take the class?
That is a great question. I think I've had so many of them say, I just never really thought about it, or I never really knew to take it, or I just didn't really think I was good at art. And so that's, if you think about it, that is a question to ask and perhaps try to come up with a solution, because how frustrating to get a kid who is taking it really shows this potential, this ability, this natural skill, and they never even knew. I've literally had kids say to me, obviously I try to be positive with all students no matter what their natural ability is, but we all know. You get those students where you say to them like, wow, you've really got some talent here. And a lot of them are just like, I didn't know it. I didn't know it. And it's like, how did you make it through this much of your life without enough exposure along the way to not even know that you have this sort of talent and ability in you? I find that frustrating. And what could we as a district do to change that for kids? I don't know. Yeah,
and that's a great point, and it's something that I think coming from this that we need to look at. Yeah. Because when I think about something that was shared earlier about, chronic absenteeism and obviously not being in school, and sometimes with just having a connection, whether it's in the arts, whether it's sports, whatever it is, you want to be
something
at school.
That gets you to school, and so, it's different for every kid.
So that's awesome, because I know for me it was basketball. Like if it wasn't for basketball, I don't know where I would be. And so that's cool. That's something for us to take a look at.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I want to ask your opinion on, because I thought it's just phenomenal, because when I was principal here, we didn't do it, right? We always thought about it, but we didn't do it. Coming into the high school now and seeing artwork everywhere. Can you walk us through a little bit of how, that started, that process and things like that? Because I just think it's
I have
awesome.
To give a shout out to my colleague, Barb Carilla, who also could have and would have been here and done a wonderful job.
Shout out to Barb.
She's kind of the glue of the department. And I want to say Dr. Boyce was definitely a part of making that happen. But just, the idea that why are we not decorating our halls with this talent and these beautiful pieces of art that represent not only our students, but represent the community here. Right. So it started and it began as the teachers, us art teachers, sort of picking art that from past, how far back we could go, who knows, pictures we've taken from 10 years ago, but just, picking some really nice pieces of artwork that we feel are strong, and then sort of having almost like a library of images that people in the building, my understanding is that anyone in the building, but other teachers can say, hey, I really like that one, and I'd like that printed so that we can hang it, up in our wing, in the science section, up in the science area, or down in math, or down by English. So that's also what's cool about it, is that not only are we representing the students and their hard work and efforts, but it's a community effort in the sense that the staff and the people that work here are taking a role, or participating in what they want to see.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool.
Because I love it. Yeah.
No, I can't say anything negative about it other than at some point, where are we going to put it all? We're going to have to, at some point, we're going to have to start rotating it out.
Right.
But that's a good problem to have.
that is, I think that's a good problem to have, and maybe selling it, maybe offering it back to. So that is a good problem to have. I agree.
And one more quick thing. Yeah. Having the art in the building, hopefully, we were talking about, that piece that some kids just don't even really know about art, or the option, or am I good at this? Is this something I could try, or have I ever tried it? Right. I think just visually seeing it is what sometimes will plant that seed. Yeah. And right?
No, absolutely. And so you saying that just made me think of something. So is some of the artwork up right now of current students in the building?
It would only be as current as last year. So for instance, is there artwork up of students that are still students here, but they maybe created the artwork last year? Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Because like you said, now walking around the building and saying, and me and Jason Bloom, assistant superintendent, we always joke around like, I did that. Like to walk around the building and be
Right. How
right?
cool.
Like that's, and
I
two,
agree.
and if you have siblings,
I
right,
agree.
that either come to the high school.
It's like you're leaving your mark.
There it is right there. It's kind of like the, what do we call it? The ceiling tiles.
Yeah,
When they're painted with
yeah.
ceiling tiles. I like
For
that.
sure.
So, couple of questions here, one, because I know you've been in multiple schools.
I have not.
You have not been in multiple schools?
No. And
I thought
it's
you
almost
were.
embarrassing.
I thought you
feel
were.
like somehow I'm not as interesting or somehow as well-rounded because I've been here the whole time.
Wow.
I student taught here with Jim Gunn, and you don't know
No.
him, but he was phenomenal. And I have just been at Harlem this whole time.
So this is easy for you then.
It kind of
What's your
is. I mean, it's
favorite school?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna have
yeah.
to be Harlem. Yeah. No, it's Belvedere. No.
No.
I'm
no.
kidding.
Okay, cut. No.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I don't know why I thought you were at a
I
different
know.
school as well.
Mitchell has.
Yes.
But no,
Yeah.
I've been here.
Yeah, you've
Like I
been
said,
here
it's
the
kinda
whole
boring.
time.
Like I
So
said-
this is your spot.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. That is awesome. So before we get to that final question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you want to say, to the community, because you've been at the high school the whole time, right?
Right.
And kind of bridging, we heard about Parker Center and how the
Yeah.
littles and how
Right.
exciting that is, right? Like bridging that gap with the kids who are at Parker Center, going through the middle school and then coming to the high school and actually going to the elementary school, then going to the middle school and going to the high school,
Yeah.
how to keep that connection going. And so we don't have it where it gets to senior year and you have a kid
Right?
who could have been a part of this and
Yeah.
maybe lost something along the way.
I
Like
agree.
how do we do
Well, I think the tough answer to that is, the problem that will always remain is just that, unfortunately, the arts is an elective. I mean, let's be honest, right?
Okay.
It's an elective. It's
Mhm.
not a required course. So that is, I think, sometimes where you get those gaps or kids find a slightly different path and then that maybe precedes or supersedes the art path.
Mhm.
They have to make choices
Right.
with electives. They have to decide, well, which am I going to take? So yeah, a good question, and I don't really have the answer to it, is
Right.
how to maintain and sustain that throughout their entire schooling. Maybe it's not so much just taking art classes, but maybe it's just making more of an effort to have art events that are school-wide, or that we try to get more people like to come to the art shows and to,
Right.
and I'm not really
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
exactly how to do that, but it's
But that's-
possible.
but that's cool.
Right?
Because I want the kids that Ariana touches at Parker Center,
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
to still have that joy
Me too.
by the time they get to high
Me
school.
too.
And I think part of it too, just for me being in on this podcast and hearing, because the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of arts is drawing, right?
Well, right.
But it's more than just
Oh,
that,
my
right?
gosh,
And I think
yeah.
kids knowing that, and like
Yes.
you say, putting that front and center could help.
Right.
So thank you
Right.
for that.
Yeah.
So now, last question, and this is where it's going to get probably interesting
Dicey.
for you. Your favorite person in the district?
Yeah. There's probably an assistant principal here that thinks that I should say him,
Oh man!
Mr. Turner. But honestly, it's,
At least you said his name.
I did, but I'm going to be honest, and I'm not just saying this because I work with her. It truly is Barb Kurla.
Okay.
I
Wow,
think
shocker! Right? Only because
she-
someone
and
just
it's
raised their
not
hands in the back of the
because-
camera.
Yeah, and it's truly, it has nothing to do with like trying to get, points with her. I mean, she's not my boss, but she just has made my job so much more enjoyable because of
Okay.
who she is as a person, her humor, how good she is at her job. She can fix anything.
Mhm.
She's just one of those people,
Yeah.
and I will truly, truly miss
Yeah.
her if she leaves before I do. So,
Yeah. Okay.
that's my answer.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure no one's going to be mad about that,
I don't
Mr.
think
Turner.
so.
But anyway, well, thank you for
Yeah.
being on today. I really appreciate that.
Yep, I'm glad to be here.
And so with that being said, again, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. Until next time, I am Harlem, you are Harlem, we are Harlem. Take care, everyone.